We're going to be up all night. No. Here we go. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Oh, hi. We're just 2 cups in a dish. I don't know.
Not anymore. Wow.
Being my usual.
Oh, my chair again. Ugh. I think it's time to cash this chair in. The pneumatics are dying.
Ah, yeah, I had that with my other one.
Well, the last couple of weeks during the streams, I'll be sitting here and I'll be going like
sinking in your chair?
Yep.
This one does the opposite for some reason. This is why I originally replaced this one with a different one, and the chair is just horrible.
Well, I could almost.
I just start going.
I could almost just. Excuse me. I could almost just probably throw a C-clamp on it or something like that and lock it in place because I never move it. It moves all by itself.
It's a solid plan.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm sure some of you might have seen the messages on the groups or...
Got another Twit viewer, just grumpy enough. Mustang Racing, Nocturnal, and Tracy Johnson. It's on my list. Okay, why isn't Sergeant Shadowfox showing up? Hi, Sergeant. How are you doing?
Sarge.
Well,
yeah, I'm just trying not to fall asleep. I've been at the hey Grumpy. I've been at the Sweepstakes giveaway board all weekend and slept very little, hammering out all the fine details and everything like that. For anybody that isn't aware of it or didn't catch the stream because of that, there's a new article up on the Nexus outlining the launch of the Artillery 3D Sweepstakes. It's got some awesome stuff going on with it. I'm giving away 7 printers and a crap ton, if that's a measurable amount. That anybody,
metric crap ton.
Yeah. Of upgrades. That implementation is kind of interesting how it's going to work. Basically what we're going to do is let you submit your bills for upgrading your printers. That's with things like hot ends, extruders,
32-bit boards.
Yep.
Screens.
Yep. The whole shebang. Up to a certain amount that's listed in the rules. The criteria for that is you're going to have to submit to us the copies of the original. I mean, you don't have to send the actual things to us, the physical form, but we need to see the copies of the original bill or invoice. Yeah, if you're
It's not that kind of contest.
Yeah, if you're attaching your house to your printer, it's going to be like I said, it's primarily going to be things for your printer, the common and maybe even some of the not so common things, but it's going to be up to $200. That's a lot.
Hey, first prize is awesome. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught. Don't know if you guys caught that or not. The first prize winner. Let me get this up on the screen. This will actually be worth showing everybody because then later we can come back and refer to it. So, give me just a sec here.
TikTok, man, come on, TikTok.
Tonight is not the night for anybody to give me shit. You can give me follows and subscriptions and donations to improve my mood. Joking. I'm just tired. Come on,
Ben, how you doing? Yes, first place is nice. I'm gonna be jealous of the guy that wins that, or gal. I'm gonna be jealous of the person that wins that. I should say that more appropriately. Sorry. I see we got Shock the Monkey up. No.
Shock the monkey. What? Who?
You got the monkey up. I said you got Shock the Monkey up.
Oh.
Do you get the reference?
Clifford.
It's Shock the Monkey.
Yeah.
He's a Peter Gabriel fan.
Yes, I am. Oh, here it comes.
We're getting ready to talk about the giveaway, Ben.
Yeah, anybody that hasn't done it yet, man, last week on one of my systems, I don't automatically update my browsers. And just for the hell of it, I seen the exclamation point in the upper right-hand corner on one of my computers. I updated Chrome, and it is nothing but pure shit now. It's got memory leaks. It's got all sorts of crap in it. It's like I got to go through the bullshit of trying to revert it.
I don't know what forced me into the update, but I've been fortunate not to have an issue. Knock on wood.
can put you where you belong, right over Taz's face. There we go. And alrighty, let's go over to the large help real quick here, and there we go.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, as you'll be able to read right there. First and foremost, 7 printers are being given away. And let me go down here to the rewards. Grand award, one guy or girl is going to get both a Sidewinder and a Genius printer, plus 100%.
Oh, wait, there's more.
What's that?
I said, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, plus 100% of your upgrade up to $200. So if you want to get 32-bit boards, new LCDs, yeah. Second rewards, or second place, depending on what your interpretation of that is, there's going to be 2 winners for that.
The link back in chat for you. There you go.
Yep.
Sorry.
Each one is going to get a Sidewinder and half of your upgrade cost. So that'll pay up to $100 of your upgrading costs. Third rewards, 3 people are going to get a Genius, and then 20% of the upgrade cost. And like I said, given the fact that the upper limit of that is $200, okay, that's still $40. So for some people, I mean, depending on where you're getting this stuff from and everything like that, that's still a board and LCD, you know, or a hot end, like one of the brand spanking new hot ends that are floating around out there. For the crazier people, that are at the upper end of the reward list and everything like that, God, whoever that is, if they want to get a Chimera and still have left over to do a bunch of other stuff, they'll be able to. Oh, thanks, Arch, for the follow there. Also, fourth rewards, there's going to be 20 winners. Each of those 20 winners is going to get a kilogram roll of some quality filament. And as you can see in the rules and everything like that, the rules are going to be posted as a document on the Facebook groups and also as a separate document on the Nexus. And it'll also be available within the next couple of days. If you want to get a hold of Artillery or get a hold of me, we can send you a PDF with it. So everything's in this article, though. As of today, it's up to date. That's what I've been working on for the last couple of days here.
No purchase necessary.
That is correct. And one of the big things that people always tend to gloss over with these types of things is, or a question that they have is taxes, import duties, fees. Depending on where you're at in the world, you might get stuck with VAT and some of that other stuff on values. We can't do nothing about that, and you're responsible for that. So
that's going to be subject to your local laws.
Yes. And of course, obviously, void where prohibited. There are some places in the world that they don't allow this sort of thing, which is like really, sucks to be you in that case, I guess. Yep. The possibility that because it's going to be for a whole month, even though right now, as soon as this thing goes live, as soon as I throw the switch on it at about 11:59, it's going to show that the contest ends on the 26th. That is not correct. That's a little bit closer towards the end of the month. It's actually going to go up to the 30th. It's going to be for 30 days. So.
Ben, depends on where you get your refurbished one from. So it's hard to answer if it's good or not It's been a mixed bag with different vendors. So, it's a buyer beware kind of situation. Do your research, and talk to whoever you're going to deal with on a refurb, because if they don't check it, it's hard to say. Because some get past people, and I've seen some bad ones, and I've seen some really good ones. So,
The one in the middle that I just pulled up on one of the lab cams right there, that's a
yeah.
refurb. It came in reasonably well condition. It was just dirty as hell. It was like it was sitting out in somebody's garage or something like that, and the refurb place didn't bother to clean it. So you got to check all the things that come with it. And this machine in particular, anyways, I'm primarily using for some of the mini mods or the creature comfort type things that I'm going to be showing on some of the streams. That's going to be the Frankenstein machine. I'm going to be tearing it apart and putting it together all the time, so I don't have to tear down any other machines. And it's also the current version 4 as well.
Ben, from friendlies, I've seen some good, I've seen some bad. It's a mixed bag. Honestly, there's no rhyme or reason to why one goes the other way and one goes the other. I don't know what's transpiring with them, but hopefully they're getting better.
I haven't heard anything out of them in a while, so that could be good, that could be bad, who knows.
I mean, I don't want to bag anybody. I mean, mistakes happen, but I've seen a couple of bad, and I've seen a couple of guys that were just thrilled with it. So it's a roll of the dice, unfortunately, when you're talking refurbs. And your warranty is a bit different as well.
The warranty is the big one.
Because that's like 90 days.
Yep.
And the parts are iffy too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd almost rather spend the extra $50 and just get a new one. In all honesty.
Yeah, because to me,
I don't think you're saving anything. In reality, I think you're taking a roll of the dice. But if you like, they're from Vegas, so they like to gamble. If you like to gamble, I mean, you might get a good one, you might not.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
And if you're handy, let's keep this in mind. If you're handy at working on stuff with electronics and so forth, it might be worth it to you, because you might be able to get away with, if you can make the repairs that might possibly be needed in addition to saying it's refurbished, then you're fine. Then you've made you've made yourself a good deal. If you're not really sure about how the printer works, if you're not sure about components, I'd say no. Go for something that's brand new, so you at least got the full coverage warranty on it, and you can get a hold of tech support and complain a bit.
Yep.
And they can help you through. Not that they still won't, because they're a pretty good company, but
there's a limit to what they are actually responsible for.
Right, and they're going to be, they're going to try their best, but now you're talking it's a refurbished. It's not from their factory. And
I have no idea what's been done with it. The printer in the center lab cam right there, if I was a new person, I would not have a running printer right now. Okay.
Yeah, that's what upsets me about that. They should know it's working and everything else. But like I said, stuff slips by, so I'm not sandbagging anybody. I'm just saying that if you want to roll the dice and gamble,
yeah,
just make sure you know how to fix stuff.
So, well, I'm not going to be able to say much until the sweepstakes goes live. But one of the things I hinted at last week was it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, it's already different. I mean, I'm not aware of any other printer companies out there that dumped 7 printers in a giveaway.
I want to answer Nocturnal's question that's way up above that. Unfortunately, I must have missed it somehow.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Genius printers compared to the X1s, it's almost the same printer, but a lot of people have had more success with the Genius because it was the second version of their printers. and it's smaller and easier to get around with. So I'm going to say it's probably a little bit better starting out. And from what I've seen, because I don't have one myself. But yeah, it seems like a little bit easier for newer users to catch on and pick up a bit easier than trying to sling the big bed and figure out. The big thing for people on this whole system is leveling. And the bigger the bed, the harder it is to level. So look at it that way. Yes, you get more space to work with, but that's also more space where you have to figure out what you're doing to get the level correct. And that can be cumbersome when you're brand new.
You'd also be surprised how little that. Okay, the X1 is a 300 by 300 bed, and the Genius is
250?
Yeah, 220.
220?
220 by 220. And most of the things you end up doing are gonna, I mean, unless you're used to doing, full build plates, or there goes my chair again, doink, doink, doink. Oh. I don't know. It's like, well, let me get this thrown up here, and I'm doing like lame stuff tonight.
I mean, I go with the whole go big or go home myself. Don't get me wrong. But if you're really, really new at it, I started on an Ender 3. And that was probably one of the better things that I did, because it got me the experience to be able to know what to look for and solve problems a little easier on a smaller bed. But if you're not worried about that, go as big as you can go, because you're going to want more room eventually. It's always the way.
I'd have to say,
just remember, the only way to do a faster print is to have more printers.
Yeah, sometimes faster isn't better either.
Right.
There's going to be many wives out there that will agree with that.
Okay. Wait until I drink to say that, right?
Yep. Case point though, after setting multiple ones up and also dropping them on my 10-year-old, my 10-year-old had his, I didn't even have to say a word to him. He had his Genius up in about 15 minutes, maybe 20. So, I mean, I can do the same thing with the X1s now too, because it's just kind of like second nature, but there's a lot less, in my view, to go wrong with the Genius. If you're a first-time user and you're, going through assembly and things. So.
Yeah, it's pretty dialed in for you. I mean, that's what I'm looking at, is if you're not experienced, you're better off going with something dialed in for you to some degree, so that you can kind of learn more on your slicing end, because that's going to be where a lot of your failure happens. Everyone thinks it's always mechanical, and it's not always the case. I'd say 8 out of 10 times you didn't slice it correctly, or you placed it wrong, and this is where you're getting a lot of your issues from. The next would be filament.
I will be right back. I got to check something here.
So I don't think anybody's going to break the code on the limitations on this TFT Mustang. I really don't. I've seen some posts with proof of concept, and if you want to hook up 45 different things and run code, and code, it might not be an issue. But honestly, if you really want to do 2-color prints, you can either back yourself down to a standard LCD screen, which is really easy. You just swap it in firmware. I used an Ender 3 on one, and I'll use an Ender 3 screen and used it on there for a little bit. Or you can get like a TFT 35 or 24 dual from BTT and swap that in. It's not really difficult. It just, you don't get to use the same mounting location as your original screen. That's the only bad part. And there's a workaround on that too. If you want to do a lot of soldering and some cutting on the case, you could make it fit in there, and you could use your existing USB and SD cards if you're skilled at desoldering boards and stuff. But I was lazy, so I just printed extra cases and put them on the outside. It was just easier for me. And there's workarounds, as Earl has shown, in how you slice it. You can do different slicing to get the same effect. So there's a workaround that way. I think he actually has a video on it. The other thing you can do is you can slice separate files. So you change the G code on your first file so you keep the bed and the nozzle going, and then just change your filament and run your next string of code from your slice, and that'll get you second color too. So there's workarounds, but I don't see the screen limitation, unfortunately, being fixed, because this screen technically is probably about 2.5 years old. So you're looking at the people that made the screen have known about this for over 2 years and still haven't solved it. So I don't see it coming to fruition. Now, if some genius comes up with it, I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. If some genius figures out a magic way of making the code work and making that screen work, take my money. I'm honest. I want to see everybody be able to do what you want to do on these printers. So that was the only thing that disappointed me about printer overall, was I didn't realize the limitation until I got to the point where I was going to do a 2-color. But you can still manually do it too. It's just a matter of you have to babysit. And I'm not big on watching my prints for long periods of time. I'll throw it on the printer and I'll walk in the other room, go watch some TV. And then I get my notification from my Octopod telling me that, hey, you got to change the filament. I like that. It's a lot nicer. But it can be done. So there's a few workarounds for it. And unfortunately, I don't think anybody had caught on when they put it together, realizing that people would want to really do it a lot. Because, most people will do a 1-color print and then they do their own painting. So, you're going to go with the majority of people. The few of us that mod and try and do other things to make it work better, we're not in the cards when they designed the printer. So, they've been talking about it, Ben. I haven't seen anything on it yet. Nothing's come out yet. They're very secretive, and they're secretive for a reason, because if anything comes out, they want to know who told it. So, I mean, they keep everything really close to the vest when they're doing their research and development, because they don't want some other company stealing their ideas and running with them. And you can't blame them at how competitive it is over there with designing and so forth. Sorry, weird noise. Some kind of weird bug or something. That's strange. Sorry, answering a question. That would be on Earl's end, Nocturnal. He's actually coming up with the aluminum bed. I don't know how far along it is, or where it's at in the way of coming to fruition. But yeah, I want one too. So I'm with you. I like to play with that stuff. Even though I got the PEI sheet on there, I'd probably like to have... I wish I could have saved my original glass, in all honesty, because my chrome, I have the old version 1 and version 2, so I have the old chrome in the center logo, and it's just gorgeous. That's what attracted me to this printer from day one. When they showed you a picture of that plate with that X1 logo in the center. It was just like, yeah, I got to get that. And now it's getting a little worn over time, so it's like, oh man. But yeah, that's what attracted me to the printer first out of the gate was the original like shiny black glass with the chrome logo on it. It was like, yeah, I want one of those. Any other pertinent questions while Earl's away and I can actually speak?
Oh, really? I can mute you.
I knew you were going to say that. I just knew
it. Someone mentioned the aluminum beds. Yeah, the guys over at Fullerman are working one up too. It's remains to be seen how much they're going to try to get for it, though. I've got a project in mind for a video. Aluminum beds, there's nothing to them. They're basically a piece of aluminum, cost-wise, and this is actually what created an argument on the groups about a week and a half ago. Different guys from different parts of the world were basically saying, oh, you can't get them made for that cheap. Well, depending on where you are in the world, that may be true. Here in the States, I just priced 6061 aluminum in roughly 4 millimeter. It's about 4.5 millimeter thickness, perfectly flat for $9. And if you can make a sandwich or drill some holes, you've got a really awesome aluminum replacement bed for your printer. For the people that don't want to get into doing that work, there's going to be obviously some commercial solutions out there, but you're basically paying someone else to do it for you.
That's what most people want there, Earl.
Well, put it this way, if they're $30, $40, cool. But if it starts getting up to like 50, 60, 70, $80, that's a few rolls of filament. And like I said, I've replaced aluminum beds on a number of printers here. Source them locally. One of the shops are walking distance here. And a 12 by 14 plate, which is about the size of the TiVo Tornado was the last one I did with that on it, I think. That was like $11. And I didn't pay any shipping or anything on it because I walked over and picked it up. A lot of these shops, you seek out, look at your local shops and things like that. Surprisingly enough, if you talk to the guy on the phone and just be nice about it, a lot of times countersinking and drilling 4 holes is like a 5-minute operation. If I was going to go as far as applying the, I can't even remember what the name of those silly screws are. They're not fender flanged bolts or something like that. I've got the name floating around somewhere. I'm just used to walking into the shop and picking them up. I never look at what their names are. You can get those for probably about 25 cents a piece, and you just use some JB Weld on them and you're good to go. I'm not a fan of that stuff because, put it this way, if one of those decides to cut loose And it's different with glass. The epoxies that they use for attaching that stuff to the glass is a little bit different. The stuff that goes steel to aluminum, that's going to have a cycle or a life expectancy behind it. It will cut loose eventually. But anyways, it's going to be up to people what they want to do. Like I said, there'll be some commercial versions available. I'm working with artillery to try to get them to change over to aluminum beds anyways. Can't promise if that's going to come to fruition or not. The picture that you're looking at right now, that's the prototype that I have in mind. I don't want to stop at just an aluminum bed. I want nice bezeled and rounded corners. I want the bed itself to be anodized, nice and black, because it's an aesthetic thing with me. And then after that bed's all done and everything, one of the things I was playing with, the AT Pro logo that's on there, I had it polished to chrome. So it had like a nice mirror logo attached to it and everything. It's a pain in the ass to do. But again, this is something, if I'm doing something for my personal printers and things like that, I'll go the extra few yards. I won't just throw a raw aluminum bed on it. And then put the 1mm PEI on top of that. We're supposed to be makers, right? Remember?
Yeah, but they want to make stuff for themselves, not have to make stuff for their printers.
Oh yeah, look at all these guys that are doing all the Z braces and
if you can print it, it's one thing. If you have to source it outside somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to buy it so I can put it on. Just take my money, damn it.
Well, not everybody has access to all the shop equipment and everything like
right?
that. We're here, okay, things like CNC and laser and crap like that. It's, stuff we get bored with.
These guys want real money around here still. I don't know why.
For what, aluminum?
For anything. Anything in the Chicagoland area is ridiculously priced. If you want any machining done, forget it. These guys still think they're making the helicopter parts in the factory over here that we're making big money for the government. It's not happening no more, but they still want to charge that money.
Case point locally, okay, and they even gave me shit on that on the groups too. You get to know your local people and everything like that. Hell, if I really wanted a bed made, I could walk over there with the aluminum plate. I mean, they have it there too, but I could walk over there with the aluminum plate and give the guy a beer on his lunch break, and he'll drop the holes in. And that's, to me, that's kind of not everybody has access to that either. I mean, that's true. But I'm also used to, I stay away from college campuses, put it that way.
Right. I'm used to bartering and trading for things. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, around here, because these guys think they're overly valuable, you run into some serious attitudes, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for a couple minutes of your time on a machine that you need to pay rent on anyways. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, also too, one of the, the things was brought up. One of the guys was, I know how difficult it is to, do the machining and onto this and that, to this and that. And it'd be different if I was a pencil pusher or something like that and had never worked on, played with, or done any of this type of work myself or anything like that. But when, somebody tries giving me the
business,
the car dealership mechanic invoice for 4 holes, 4 flanged holes that are in a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of aluminum. It's like, did you go to college to learn how to do that?
Nope, trade school.
Are you certified? Are you certified to drill those holes? It's like, do you? Okay, yeah, I could.
I actually got asked one time if I was certified to hook up a computer.
Well, there was a point in time. There was a point in time when this sort of thing was new. Okay, the corporation that I worked for. This goes back to the days where we were trying to talk people into getting out of using Windows 3.1. It's like you had larger corporations that unless you had a piece of paper saying that it was okay for you to work on these things, they wouldn't let you do it. And now everybody's a Google expert.
Well, the same guy that asked me this question didn't realize I helped build the dispatch center and design it. So
Yeah.
it was like, you realize that I know where all the switches are at to shut everything off, right? Yeah, it's like minimum quantities, and guys just get silly about it. I mean, I get they got expensive machines and machine time, but you think a few bucks here and there, you know, is better than nothing. It's like, when if you're walking out of a business and not buying it, how much did you make? I actually wasted your time. But guys don't think like that sometimes. It's weird.
Shadow, it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, of course they work with aluminum. Funny enough, I'm in Amish country where I'm at right here and everything like that, and some of these guys have got nicer machine shops than some of the commercial machine shops around here. That whole electricity thing, that's at their house. At their business and their place of operation and everything like that. It's really nice never having to pay taxes. It's really nice never having to, pay for all the things that us regular people have to pay for. It's like I don't know. I hesitate to use the term immigrant. Okay, because today's, anytime you mention immigrant, people think you're either, talking bad about somebody, or, you're associating it with, being illegal or something like that. But people, come from other countries and they get some nifty perks when it comes down to setting up and operating businesses in this country. I know where I grew up in Michigan, in the Detroit area. I don't think in the whole of southeastern Michigan there had ever been a party store that was owned by someone who was not recently immigrated, if that makes sense.
Sorry. Octoprince messing with me.
Well, you say that, Shadow, but have you ever seen a drunk Amish craftsman?
Yes, I have.
Where I grew up, in the Detroit area, that's the automotive capital of the world, and everybody's aspiration was to get a job with GM or Ford, working in one of the factories direct, or one of the contracting factories, machine shops and things like that. I knew people that couldn't function properly at their jobs if they weren't drunk. And these are some, these are some career, lifelong, damn good machinists. So, oh, there goes the WeChat again. Hang on here. I'm trying to get Tracy to pop on. I had my notifications off, and then I turned them back on, and I missed her a little bit earlier. Trying to get her to come in and say hello at least. We are about 15 minutes away from getting that switch on the sweepstakes. Now, you don't have to do a mad dash or a rush to try to complete everything. The little bit of a scavenger hunt thing with regards to it. There's a couple of things that you're just going to have to wait to complete throughout the month, as well as there's some features that will need to be, unlocked. And there's also going to be a daily feature. You'll be able to stop in and check your standing in it, and pop it daily for some daily points too.
Oh yeah, you can do a lot of that stuff yourself. It's just some people don't have the knack for it or don't want to bother with it. I mean, honestly, if I could get in my garage right now, I'd be a happy man. But I mean, probably not, because something crashed through my roof, and I'm waiting for the roofer to come out and fix it. But because even though he had time when I asked him, as soon as I had the money, he didn't have time. I was like, okay. And I don't know what fell through my roof, but something fell through it good. Because I don't have any trees or nothing over it. Something fell out of the sky. And it had to be heavy because mine was double shingled. I'm thinking it had to be an asteroid. I ain't lying, man. It really screwed up. I didn't realize how big the hole was because I have like lumber up there. So I didn't see it. And I saw one small little hole on the eave, and I was like, okay, it threw up a piece of PVC signage up in there to keep it from like getting on everything in my garage. And then I come to find out there's a second hole, and I was like, oh, and that one's bigger. Nice. I can hardly wait to take all this stuff out of my garage.
Well, Shadow, you mentioned that. Okay, just on the subject of the aluminum beds, you don't even need a carbide bit, and you don't even need a countersink bit. The angle of a standard Harbor Freight cheapy, I cringe saying that, but a Harbor Freight tool drill bit has got good enough angle on it. You just go one size up to match the size of the head of your countersink set screw for the bed. You're basically drilling your hole, and just for all intents and purposes, let's say it's 3 millimeters, and then you take a 5 millimeter bit and you just drop it in the top and put the flange in. You can do it with a cordless drill, and you're done.
So GC, you're going to need to do that in your slicer to get the correct amount out if you're going to do calibrations. The buttons are basically in and out feeds at 10 millimeters on the dial. You can go up to 10 on this, how much it extrudes, but you'd have to hit that like 10 times to get 100. So
you're better off pulling up. I really ought to hard link Matt's hub for his calibration guide. It's been around forever, and most of these guys that are doing new calibration guides and things like that, it's just basically repuking up the same information over and over again. The Matt's Hub guide has been around for years. Same information, good information, and it's only like 2 paragraphs, and you're done. It explains everything to you, and it's really simple to pick up.
Yeah, you're gonna need to do it like in something like Prowler Face or your slicer, because you're limited on the menu commands. You got crickets.
Is that actually on your? Is that noise on your end?
Yes, that's my dryer, which is deciding to die because I got some extra money all of a sudden, and now it decided it didn't want to work no more. And then when I found out how much it cost to replace the electronics on it, it's like I could buy a whole new dryer.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me, but okay. Yeah, stock firmware will allow you to do that. You're going to set it up in your slicer or through Prowler Face, and you're going to tell it to extrude 100 millimeters, right? So you take the measurement from that, and it tells you there's actually a formula that you figure it out, and it tells you what you're extruding and what you need to adjust in the math. I'm not really 100% on how the math works. There's a couple cheat guides out there. I don't have a link right now for you, but you plug in that number and then you do the formula and then you get what you need to make the adjustments on. So yeah, you can do that, no problem. But on stock firmware, you're going to have to put that into your beginning G code, and there's an instruction on how to do that as well. If you update the firmware, you can save it to your EEPROM, but EEPROM is not enabled on the stock firmware.
There we go. There we go. There's a link for you right there for Matt's Hub. Yeah, it's been
the Smart Hide feature in Cura. I'm not actually sure what that is, honestly. I never really had to make that many adjustments.
Smart Hide doesn't always act so smart. I guess that's it's
Smart Hide's kind of dumb. No. Just to sum it up. What's it supposed to do? Explain it to me. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's supposed to pick corners and all of the points on your model. So, you know, just say for
Hide the seam. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
See, someone made it really simple for me. There you go.
yeah, it is kind of, but in the case of, to say, like an organic model or something like that, it'll pick, or it tries to pick the sharpest points.
Yeah, so you're not going to see. Okay, I've never used it because it's
Yeah.
like you might as well just use the lining the seam up feature. It's probably just as good, and you can kind of pick where it goes. So
You'd be surprised how many people are afraid to rotate their models on the build.
that's usually what I do.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I usually just rotate it to where I want the seam to be, and then I just do a line seam, and I know where it's going to go, so I know where to look for if I need to sand or I want to hide it. So, but that's why I said I didn't see that feature, and it's like, well, I can't really answer on it because I never tried it. So,
Let me check that print. I'll be right back.
it did look awkward there for a minute. Yeah, see, that's what the problem with the algorithms on that stuff. A lot of times it makes it worse. That's kind of why I don't play with a lot of that stuff, because it's like I know how I want to hide it, so I'll cheat to make it work for the way I want it by just turning the model slightly, and I usually get the result I'm looking for.
I had one of my fluorescence light dye earlier in the one part of the lab there. So it's dropping some shadows up there, and it's kind of freaking me out a little bit every time it comes forward.
If you can fit a cylindrical part across your plate, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. As you go taller, you're getting less and less where it's stable. So it's going to be dependent on how tall it is and how thick it is and how much support you're willing to apply. I mean, preferably you want to keep it upright. But in certain situations where you want it to look a certain way on a certain side, if you could make it fit on the bed and lay it down, it'll work. But generally, I print it upright, and then I'll add like a raft or some type of support to the lower side of it, because I know it's gonna start wobbling all on its own. It's not gonna do anything with the machine. It's gonna do with the print itself moving while the bed's going just from inertia. So I usually try and figure out a way to block it so it doesn't do that.
Your print speed's going to have a little bit of bearing on that too.
I mean, I've had a few where it's like, if you blow on it funny, it's going to rock. So it's like, okay, I need to add a support here, just to keep it from doing that when it gets to a certain height.
That was kind of sandpaper scratchy there.
Sorry. That new kitten makes me itchy.
I was just gonna tell you it's time to shave your back, man. Okay, we're just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, you reduce the print speed and add a brim. A lot of times, if it's thin, I'll add a raft instead of a brim. I just keep the percentage down on the raft, just because it covers more space and it got more grip for me, in my opinion. Because now you're also pulling on the inside of that circle instead of just on the outside. So you're not getting that flex as much. So that's why I hate rafts too, don't get me wrong. But if I have to make a certain part for a reason and it has to come out looking nice so I don't look like I don't know how to print, I'll put the raft down and I usually, I put a decent air gap in between it. But it's enough that it keeps it from rocking. And that's all I'm looking for. I mean, most of the time I go with no plate adhesion at all. I run my prints that way because I hate having to peel off anything else besides my print. It's one of those weird things that I do, I guess, but
Okay, folks, I'm here. I'm getting ready to throw the switch on this. I want to make sure it happens at the right time here.
Flip the switch.
Excuse me?
Just send it.
Hey, I'm trying to be punctual, man.
I'm just teasing.
I got 3 minutes to just check this stuff over real quick and make sure everything's going to be good.
I'm just advocating for the rest of the people in our group here who don't have a voice. I'm helping them. I'm a helpful kind of guy.
And just in case people are wondering, no, I am not entering in the competition because I'm administering it and everything like that. My name is on it. But no, I am not going to be entered in for any drawings or anything like that.
I'm not in it either, so.
You can be.
I know I could be, but I'm not going to because I'm not going to take it away from somebody else to have the excitement that I have with my printers. So I have morals.
Yeah,
plus, knowing my luck, I'd win it and everybody be mad at me in the whole entire community, and I'm not playing that.
But everybody out there, don't make any mistakes, okay? We already, in our closed meetings and things like that, we've all talked about it. And it's like, man, I want to win first prize.
Yep.
$200 in upgrades.
I'm like, man, if I could start out like that.
A Genius and a Sidewinder X1 all in one happy little package.
I'm just trying to get around to ordering a Genius.
Yeah, you've said that like every show for the last week and a half.
Still trying. At least I'm consistent. No, as far as the heat breaks, actually, I think you got the better one there, Tracy. It's a lot easier to swap out. So you're not fighting with the threads and worrying about snapping it. So you take out the two grub screws and it's so much simpler to pull that hot end out. I think you did really well getting that. It's a little more difficult to source the all metal ones here and there. It's hard to find, but they're coming back out with them again. I just noticed a few ads for them here and there. Like I know even what is it? Triangle Labs actually had advertised a couple of the Kraken style heat brakes. So you did better, because the threaded ones can be a pain. If you don't get it right, now you're stuck. Whereas you got 2 grub screws, you loosen up, you can move that hot end where it needs to go and lock it in place. I have to sit there and twirl this thing around 80 times and hope I don't snap a wire or do anything crazy. So you made out really well with it, I think. Yeah, like I said, it's a really nice feature. I wish I had it on mine. I know I can order the plate and swap them out. I just ordered so many parts already as backups.
Almost here.
You know, it's just an easier way to actually put your hot end on. I actually like the way they did that. I think that was a really good upgrade. Because it saves you so much headache with the threaded one. You have to actually put the cartridge in, at the very least the heat cartridge. Now if you have a cylindrical style hot block that has the long type thermistor, you have to put them both in, because they don't fit in there once you get your hot end all the way up to the top. So you're in danger of grabbing those wires every time you make a rotation, whereas you just have to push them straight up right into place, put the screws on, and you're done. So it's a well better setup than what we have on the older one. So you did good getting that one.
Oh, I had my mic off. Okay, the sweepstakes are now active, everybody.
Woo, it's official.
Good luck. Yes.
Coffee Cup has said it's active.
Well, I have to travel from one side of the shop here to the other.
Man, you do not like my comedy. I'm so sorry.
I'll get a direct link up for you in just a second. You can blame Taz for making me stop at one of the other microphones.
I sidetracked him now. It's all my fault.
Yep.
If I can't knock the wheels off it, I'll derail it. Just saying.
Okay, there is a direct link for that.
Enter now. Enter now.
Yeah, in the chat. As well as the article on the Nexus and in the Facebook groups.
I'm actually excited to see somebody get this stuff. I think that's going to be really cool for somebody. I know I'd be stoked.
Well, I did, there is a, it's not a pressured expectation, but part of the rules and the terms is that, we might want to contact the people and, basically it's a pre-release for, using their name for announcing the winners and things like that. I hope that the people that do are going to give us some pictures and maybe even some video of them doing happy dances and things like that. That'd be awesome.
No TikTok. Putting it out there right now. Between my wife and my kids, I have to hear that all day.
Yeah. What's up with TikTok?
It drives me nuts.
Couple of my friends in Hawaii, they're 20-something girls. They have a couple of them have daughters or whatever. But the sound on those videos, for some goofy reason, the sound is like up 300%. And if I accidentally make the mistake of clicking on something like that in my Facebook feed or something like that, it blows me out of my chair.
Right?
It's like, did you do that? Are you doing that on purpose or something, or what?
I got 11K. Who wants my points? No? No funny? As they say in Cook County, vote early and vote often. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong thing. If you're on the south side, yes, I'm in Chi-Town. Or Chirac, depending on how you want to look at it. And live in Crook County. And I'm not saying that wrong. You know I'm not. We're still kind of neighbors. Everyone from the suburbs claims they're from Chicago, right? I always laugh. It's like, no, you're from a north suburb. You're not from Chicago. Hey, even O'Hare Airport isn't in Chicago. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's realistically in Rosemont. It just happens that they annexed the expressway and the property in Rosemont. The people that fly in O'Hare and like, it's not that bad here. It's like, this isn't Chicago yet. You gotta get on the expressway and go for a while. Then you'll understand.
Scott, no code word for this show.
This is open and obvious. There's a link for you.
Well, no, I think thanks, load letter.
Oh, we're gonna do a code word on our next show. I didn't read all through it. I'll be honest.
See how prepared my hosts are.
Give me like maybe.
It was my
show.
It was my turn to give you shit. It's my humor.
I can take it.
Oh.
I take it all the time.
See, where's that cactus at? Hang on here.
Polish it up for me, would you? What would you like them to put up there, Cornfed? We can recommend it. What kind of videos you want to see on the artillery YouTube site? We could tell Tracy, and then she could just tell us no.
You know,
blow us off. But
some of you all blow us off, huh? Some of you all need to leave her alone. That girl gets beat up from, I mean, just aside from normal, regular.
Later, Grumpy enough. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Grumpy. Take care, man. That poor girl gets beat up by people, and people just don't realize. It's like they treat her like a mommy.
I'm not picking on her. I'm just being funny.
No, I'm saying that, you know, people, if there's an email address or if they see a artillery icon that has a little green dot next to it and everything like that, it's just like a pinball machine. I've heard it. Ding, 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 ding. Well, Scott, the code word. Well, I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna say how it's going to be introduced or exactly when during the stream.
Trace takes a lot of heat from a lot of people, so I mean, she gets it on both sides.
Well, there's a difference between. They have a customer support portal. Okay, you're supposed to file tickets, and the way people are these days, everybody wants an immediate answer for things, and as soon as they see that that green dot go active and everything like that, everybody kind of wants to get, you know, bumped ahead and moved ahead in the queue. Now, you know, this is, and this isn't directed at or about artillery, you know, just in general. Most of the Asian companies, they already, you know, bend over further backwards than most Western or generalized European companies would normally go. And they take a lot of shit from people. I've been on both sides of the fence, handling things for companies for a few years that are in China in the customer support arena. And man, some of y'all get really ugly unnecessarily. And there's even the opportunistic type out there that know that, well, we aim to please. So they kind of, seems like they take advantage of that. Tracy's a big girl, though. All the people at artillery are, you know, big people, and there's a point where Tracy might be hanging out. She usually has the streams up at usually has the streams up in the office. She just can't always get a chance to respond right away. Yeah, if anything, and I'm not just saying that because of my affiliation or anything like that, but a lot of these people, and it's not just artillery, any of the people who handle the groups, any of the people who, you know, are representatives for any of these companies or anything like that, they get nowhere near the amount of praise that they deserve. Yep, that's true, Ben. Oh. There's my monkey phone. Hang on, I'll be right back here.
No, ironically, you didn't have to register to get warranty service, which is really cool. You just had to just, you know, more or less message them and give them your serial number, and it was all pretty much taken care of. My first printer wasn't perfect when I got it. So, and I still bought a second one. That tells you how good their customer service was, because if you would have ticked me off at that moment in time when I had the problems that I had, I'd have walked. I'd have been like, yep. Just like Tronxy did to me. Didn't ever even answer me. Creality gave me some line of BS when they're board fried on me. And the guy is like, I ain't authorized to replace it. I'm like, you're the factory. What do you mean? You're not authorized to replace something that broke under warranty.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, GC. Thanks for showing up.
Take care.
Anybody that hasn't, if you haven't yet, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell on the channel. Especially over the next couple of weeks with this sweepstakes going on and everything, we're going to be doing some interesting stuff. We might be popping up with some surprises along the way too.
What am I vaping on? It was originally commercially available when we had our store. It's no longer available, unfortunately, because of the way things go. But I guess you'd call it DIY now. It's butterscotch. But we did have our own line, and I'll do a shameful little plug of my logo that I had. It's getting a little worn, but I called it Butterscotch. But that was our brand for a while. It was all FDA registered. We had a lab, the whole shot. But such is life.
Well, isn't that situation improving, or are there regulations in place still that aren't going away?
There's regulations that aren't going away, and unless you're a multimillionaire, you can never get past the FDA's certification process, because they want studies and documentation on every level of nicotine you offer, as well as your different variations of flavors. So we only had, I want to say, 10 flavors, and you figure it was about maybe 500 to 600,000 to get those approved per each flavor.
I'm waiting for the hammer to drop on 3D printing resins.
It's just, and then between that, like I said, where I'm at here in Cook County, we got nailed with the taxes.
Ooh.
On that, besides, which they wanted to do like they do with cigarettes, which is a pre-tax. So everything I had in stock at the time, they wanted me to count myself and tell on myself and pay taxes on it. So that's when we picked up the shop and tried to move it out of the county for a while, but that didn't work out. So we did move, but it just kind of floundered, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, that's something with 3D printing resins that I've been worried about for about the last 4 or 5 years now. Now, given the popularity and the accessibility and the water washable designation that they're starting to throw on labeling now for some of the water soluble resins.
See, that's a really, really bold-faced lie, in my opinion.
It is. It's still a toxic chemical, and you know,
you're not going to want to water wash it in your sink and around your family.
That still ends up going into somebody's water eventually.
Yep. Some scary stuff.
That's my other monkey phone. Hang on here. I don't know, you might have heard that one.
Yep. Heard that one. Well, and I didn't expect it not to get taxed, so don't get me wrong, but I didn't expect them to tax it on percentage and then play that game where I had to pay it before I sold it. It's like, okay, I already have all this overhead in this shop. I already have a bunch of other taxes I have to pay besides the import fees and other stuff you had to pay. So people didn't realize it's like, oh, I can get on the internet. Yeah, you can. You're going to wait for it and you're not going to get the help you get from our shop. And you're not going to have all of this wonderful stuff to test all the flavors you want to test and things like that. But people didn't get it after a while. And then the bad media made it even worse because we started getting hit with all this stuff from, we were trying to entice kids and things like that, and that wasn't the case. I just wanted people that wanted to quit smoking. That was what our shop was geared for. We had always been, within the adult frame of the law with who could enter the shop. You had to be of age, had to have ID, or you didn't get anything. So we followed all the rules, and the only ones that survived are the ones that really didn't. So.
Oh, that's all I don't even want to think about mixing the Tide Pod crowd with 3D printing resin. I just don't.
Well, fortunately, it has a different base. You're not talking about something that they can jump on the bandwagon about yet. They haven't found a way in to mess with it, so you're pretty okay right now.
Well, there's a lot of people that have been printing ear
PPE?
No, your ear piercing.
Oh, okay.
Your jungle plugs, as I call them.
You mean these things?
Yeah.
I 3D print these all the time. They're actually more comfortable.
Yeah, and that's probably fine with things like PLA maybe and whatever, but picture being hypersensitive to resin,
yeah,
and printing one and not having it cure properly.
But here's the only thing that I'm going to go with on that one. What about the other resins they use anyways?
Different.
I mean, some of them other resins are just as toxic.
Yes and no.
Clear coat resins and everything else could do the same thing. So,
well, like I said, any company manufacturing the poured, we'll just say the gravity pour or the injected type resin product is usually geared and set up to do that. This is, somebody at home.
No, I'll get you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, look at some of the beds. Look at some of the 3D printer beds that are showing up on the groups.
Yeah, using resin, I can see being worse.
You can't even get people to clean their fucking printer beds.
So, usability versus FDM printing. There's a lot more entailed with resin and a lot more safety you really have to follow. Bottom line.
But it's actually easier.
It's easier to get a print. It's the cleanup and the aftermath that's a pain. It isn't like FDM printing where you're done printing, you scrape it off the plate, and now it's usable.
If you're a hobo, you're going to have a problem with resin printing. That's
okay.
If put it this way, if you're not used to keeping your tools clean,
I'm just saying it's more entailed than an FDM printer, so you have to keep that in mind. That's why they charge extra money when you look at the sites that are charging for printing. Where an FDM print costs X amount, you're going to say about another 20 cents more for a resin print because of the time it takes to do all the process you're supposed to do to get it done. So, I mean, there's a lot of ancillaries you need to have just besides the printer. It isn't like buying an artillery and you just get a roll of filament and go. It's you buy the resin, you need to cure it, you need to clean it before you cure it. There's a few other things you got to get in line before you even start printing. So that's where I was going with it.
It's like the difference between getting.
Then you get cool stuff like this.
I recognize that. Is that what?
The Swedish Vapor.
Yeah.
This is actually in resin and FDM. So I did the top caps and the door out of the FDM, and then I did the box out of resin. And it was fun.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, regarding the dental resins, Roxas, I have a few people I've gotten to know over the years in the resin printing arena that are some of the forerunners, the movers and shakers in the resin printing
And the
area.
resin print makers.
Yeah.
Here's one you didn't see. Oh, you can't see him at all because he's kind of green.
Oh, disappearing print.
Yeah.
Who is that?
This is Death Trooper.
Okay.
A little better when I get him away.
Yeah. Much better. He's kind of skinny in the legs.
No, he's not.
No, it's
He's
just
supposed to be.
No, it's just the angle that you were holding him at.
That was so it wouldn't reflect the back on the green screen. I know you're giving me shit. It's okay.
Yep. Well, anyways, folks, this is supposed to be a daily. This isn't supposed to be a 4-5 hour stream. I'm just going to recap real quick. I can't remember if I got the Matt's Hub up or... See if I got the right one.
I go with the Elegoo Mars because that was recommended to me by Earl, and it was probably one of the best recommendations he's given me so far. Just gonna say that.
Right now the best bet out in the market is the Elegoo products. I can go over the details, the pros and cons of just about every printer on the market right now that's in the same price range. Tell you why or nay. That's going to be a focus of one of the stream time slots that we're going to be setting up. We're going to be doing more weekly streams, and we're going to be devoting a fair amount of resources actually to resin printing too. This is also the time of the year that I do it a lot, so we're going to be hitting that up. But right now, the Elegoo Mars is it. In a short month-ish, well, actually June 6th, Elegoo is going to be taking pre-orders for the Saturn, which is a large format monochrome printer that is going to be $400, 4K screen. We can get into, people are going to talk about the 4K screens versus the 2K screens. We're not going to do that tonight. It's a damn good printer for the price, and it's going to pretty much change the landscape out there a little bit for some other printer companies. So we'll get into that.
Only other thing though is remember, a larger plate means more resin.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize. I don't recommend the large format printers for anybody that's new, because go big, screw up big. And
with resin, yes, definitely.
Yeah. See, I come from a time when we were paying about $110 for a liter of resin, and now you can get some really nice functional good resins for about $30 a liter, which isn't so bad to me. But okay, a couple of failed prints with a big build plate like that, your liter's gone. So
yep,
pick up one of these. Pick up one of the small printers like the Elegoo Mars, and go to town and start playing. We're kind of partnering up with Chitu Box too. That is the slicer, or one of these slicers that's available for resin printing.
I really like it, actually. I'm really fond of it.
Yeah. We're going to be going in depth with that, and like I said, the Chitu Box folks are going to probably get a couple of them diving into one of the streams here eventually too. There's some other neat stuff in the pipe too, with regards to involvement with them as well. So more on that later. I just put the link back up for the sweepstakes, the Artillery 3D June 2020 sweepstakes and giveaway. Go ahead and click on that and get started on that. I'll point out for late people that are showing up, it is going to be going for 30 days, even though currently on its screen it says that it's ending on the 26th. That is incorrect. That just has to do with billing. When it gets a little bit closer to towards the end of the month, that's going to bump up to the 30th, so you don't have to worry about that. So the rules and the other listings in the articles for the prizes, the rewards, if you'll call them that, also has the end date and time in there. Yep, thanks everybody for showing up. I've been up all weekend working on this sweepstakes as well as some other things here, and I think after the stream I'm just going to die. Normally we do after hours or whatever, but I'm not even up for that tonight, so that's going to be it for tonight. Appreciate everybody showing up. If you got any questions, yeah, thanks, Cornfed. If you got any questions about the sweepstakes or anything like that, you can post them in the Facebook groups. You can post them on the Nexus, or get a hold of me or Artillery. We'll be able to answer your questions for that. And our next stream is going to be Wednesday at 11 p.m. Topic to be announced. And of course, our weekly big stream is going to be on Friday, this Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then. Thanks for coming.
Have a great night, guys. See ya.